It's game day. Welcome to ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Live from the DUUUVAL House, next to TIAA Bank Field. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Gotaken. Here's Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
Well, we made it. We made it to Saturday of Georgia-Florida weekend, and we've got ourselves some overcast skies, some comfortable temperatures. The lights are on inside the stadium, in fact, and we're just outside TIAA Bank Field, and the crowd is building, as it has been all week. And I would assume most of the folks that are down here right now haven't driven in. They're the ones that have stayed over in the RVs at RV City and, well, wherever else, at the fairgrounds and kind of right near the St. John's River. There's other places for those RVs to stay. And traffic is not bad right now if you're coming down. So get here early, and if it's not bad now in a couple of hours, I won't be saying the same thing. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts. We've pulled Brian Middleton into the fray here on a Saturday morning. It's a special edition, ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the DUUUVAL House. We do this each and every home game for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we do it one time on College Football Saturday, and that is for this Georgia-Florida game. The Florida Gators, I'm watching their buses go by. If you eventually we'll see on our streaming as well. I don't know. That's probably the band or something, actually. There's only a couple of buses. And so they'll come in waves. The Gator Walk is 1:30 if you want to plan for that, Gator fans. That will be outside Gate 1. Georgia Bulldogs will arrive probably around the same time, well, even a little bit earlier, to the stadium. Kickoff 3:30 on CBS 47 today. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, is this your, well, first one down here?
Yeah, first one down here. I'm excited to be here. You finally let me come down to actually feel like a part of the team here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody's going to push the damn buttons, and Brian Middleton's got to do that
Somebody.
today.
And he's working on the stream right now. We'll get that rolling in just a second. It is
we're
rolling.
Fresh off the fishing show. A busy day on ESPN.
Quick turnaround, and just not the, I mean, Brian Middleton's the normal crew, but Lexi helping us out with the fishing show. So just team effort going on right now at ESPN 690.
And speaking of, we've got a full day of programming. It's fishing show. It's now ESPN 690 Game Day Live until 11 o'clock. And then we'll head right into the Florida State coverage. We're actually, preempting a little bit of that Florida State coverage of the pregame, but they will play a noon game today.
You will hear all of the game if that's what you're looking for.
And you will definitely hear the game on ESPN 690. And then do we have the World Series tonight, or we have college football?
We do have the World Series game
we
tonight.
got a heck of a day. That's a heck of a Saturday here on ESPN 690. Meanwhile, we'll get you covered on the TV side as well. CBS 47, the place to be, 1:30. We will have our Battle of the Border pregame show, 3:30 kickoff. We'll have postgame, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. Actually, that Fox 31 probably won't air until midnight, depending on how long the World Series game goes. So,
you were up last night.
Actually, I don't even think we have a 10:30 edition. It's going to be so late. So, CBS 47, the place to be for all your Georgia-Florida coverage. All right, what do we think? I mean, here's the deal. We know what it is by now. We know the Georgia Bulldogs are heavy favorites. We know the Florida Gators are an interesting team, but a tough team to figure. They have a really tough time stopping anybody on the defensive end of things. I mean, is this game going to go according to plan, or is this game going to surprise us? Because that's what rivalries do sometimes.
Yeah, I would love to sit here and tell you that I think it's going to, be right on a rivalry game, right? I don't think that's the case. I think the Georgia Bulldogs are just a better team. Now, granted, they have to prove it, right? They almost slipped up against Missouri earlier in the season, and Florida just beat Missouri. So anything can happen, I'll give you that, Brent, but I'll tell you, I don't have a good feeling about this one. As a semi-Florida Gator fan, I think the Georgia Bulldogs are going to take care of business. But that's why they play the game, right?
Well, I guess that's how they play the game. Again, this game, I just said this on TV a short time ago, and I think this game overall is about Georgia. And the reason why it's about Georgia is because they are the number one team in the country. They are the national champs. They have not lost a regular season game since 2 years ago when Florida beat them. They are the prohibitive favorites once again in the SEC. They have a game looming against Tennessee next week that's probably bigger than this one, believe it or not, between the Hedges and Athens. This game is about the Georgia Bulldogs. Can they keep it rolling? I mean, it's really all about them. And if they do what Georgia Bulldogs teams have done the last couple of years, I would say, yeah, it's going to be really hard for the Florida Gators to get a W here this afternoon in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I could agree with that as well. You're right. It's all about Georgia. They got to take care of their business. Now, this is to a conversation we had earlier in the week, right? If you're going to become Alabama, if you're going to do those things, this is a game you win. The Georgia Bulldogs are more talented, right? pretty much all over the field. I think debatable at the quarterback position because I think when Anthony Richardson's good, there's not many people better than him in the country, but he's not always good. So that will be the strength for Florida if they can get it done. But, yeah, if Georgia wants to become what you think they can be and what a lot of these Georgia Bulldogs fans think they already are, they need to take care of games like this, even though it's a rivalry, even though it's in Jacksonville. Take the emotion out of it. If you're Georgia, you got to win this game if you want to be that team in the country.
What are they trying to be? Like, where is Georgia going? Like, are they just trying to be the perennial? Are they trying to rival Alabama? Are they Alabama? We had this discussion on Brent and Friends on ESPN690 this week. So they were trying to be national champs. That's what they were trying to be. Well, they checked the box. So now what? You're trying to be a dynasty, the program in college football? Like, can that happen? Can that still happen? Can an Alabama run still happen? There's friction along the way, of course. You've got anybody from Ohio State to the Clemsons of the world to USC. Are they on the rise? We'll see. Other Blue Bloods are not on the rise. But what are they trying to be other than undefeated when they leave Jacksonville today?
Yeah, I think you're going to answer that question, I think ask me maybe Sunday morning next week because you got this game and you got Tennessee. So we're going to know what Georgia at least is and what they're going to be after next week. But, yeah, I think they need to build that. I think if you look at the Alabama team right now and you look at the Georgia team, I kind of favor Georgia, to be honest with you. But they have to get to that point, right? You beat Florida here. You got to beat Tennessee. But I think that they're building towards that. I think they're better than Alabama right now. I think that would be a matchup that favors them when they get to that point, if they get to that point, by beating Tennessee. So it'll be an interesting thing after these next 2 weeks, but this is I don't want to say gut check time, but this is how you're really going to know what Georgia is after these 2 weeks because it's going to be emotional today, and then tomorrow or next week you got a better football team in Tennessee than the Florida Gators. So high emotions for the next 2 weeks for the Dogs.
We had Aaron Murray on the show yesterday. He's like, listen, you don't look past this game. There's going to be an electricity about it, the pageantry about it. I don't care what anybody says. Georgia thinks and Georgia knows they're better than the Florida Gators right now. They are absolutely better than them. If they played 10 times, they'd beat them 9. But is this the one-off? And can you really get caught looking ahead if you're the Georgia Bulldogs to a Tennessee matchup? Well, I think it's human nature sometimes. I don't care who you're playing. The bottom line is this is a rivalry game. You don't want to lose the game. There will be certainly a certain kind of focus, but I'm not sure it will be as focused and locked in as maybe years past. I've said this countless times this week. I've been here 15 years covering this game. I don't remember when Georgia had a bigger game after the Florida game, right the next week later. The SEC East has been terrible during the stretch. It's been a lot of Florida. It's been a lot of Georgia, and that's it. And most of the time, Florida's pretty darn good. I mean, we've seen Florida and Georgia in here top 10 multiple times over that stretch that I'm talking about. So I think it's pretty interesting to see where the focus, attention, everything else is on. Now, they can win with their B game, too. They got to be a little bit careful to not deliver anything but their B game because Missouri almost got them, and that didn't go so well. And all that took was a couple of turnovers. Statistically,
probably should have got them.
Missouri really wasn't as much in the game as it looked because of the turnovers is why they had a chance. And then I think what Georgia did is what Alabama has done so many times. When you think you have them on the ropes, they come back with a big fourth quarter and finish the job. And there's got to be something to be said for that, knowing how to win in the key spots. Again, we watch Alabama do that for the last decade. Georgia did that against Missouri. But I don't think they want to take that road here in the fourth quarter against the Florida Gators in Jacksonville because there'll be a ton of momentum on that Gators side, and they're better equipped than Missouri to pull the upset.
Yeah, they are. Right? But to the point about Missouri, right, the one thing that we've wondered, at least with the Jags, and you wonder with all teams when they're becoming good, can they find ways to win? In Georgia, they found a way to win. It wasn't good for 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter, they took care of business. They got a win, and frankly, that's all that matters. You stay up there undefeated, and that's the important part of it. But I will agree with you that I don't think they're going to want this game to be that close because Florida, depending on the play calling, they do have, in a situation where they need to run out the clock, they got a couple of good running backs. They got a quarterback that can run the football as well. So, Georgia doesn't want to be in that spot where the Gators can kind of run it down their throats. Will they actually do that? Yet to be seen. It's been a problem with Florida in the last couple of years, actually handing off to the running backs. But, we'll just have to see how that plays itself out.
Now, for the Florida Gators, that's what they have to do. They have to hand it to the running backs. They have to make life easier for Anthony Richardson. Go back to the Utah game to start the year where everybody got so excited. Everybody's talking Heisman Trophy, best player around, all this stuff about Anthony Richardson. And then it kind of crashed, and it's been weird. It's had moments, but it's also had a lot of bad moments and very inconsistent to the point where we really don't know what to expect out of Anthony Richardson today. We have no idea what Anthony Richardson you're going to get. But I think if they run the football, they take some off him, and that's where the Utah game was so good. They didn't ask him to do everything. But when they asked him to make a play, when they asked him to make a throw, when they asked him to convert it on third down, when they asked him to do something with his legs, he was able to do it. Because I don't think everything was on him. I think what changed a little bit for the Florida Gators is right after that game, he was so good, it was like everybody said, all right, Anthony's going to do this himself.
I said it.
And that's not the case, and that has not worked, and his confidence even got shaken after a couple of poor performances. So this is about the running attack, really, of the Florida Gators. I mean, they can run the football. They do it okay. Can they run it against Georgia? I'm not sure.
Yeah, a different story. But to your point, yeah, Florida they should at least want to run the football. You got guys. We got one back, 7.2 every time he touches it. Trevor Etienne, 6.3 every time he touches it. Out of the three-headed monster the Gators have, nobody carries it for less than 4 yards a touch. And then you've got Anthony Richardson, who's obviously the weapon. And, yeah, that should be the game plan today, you would think. Now, to your point, Brent, the Georgia defense, I've heard rumors that they're pretty good. So that will be tougher said than done. But, yeah, you can't leave it all up to Anthony Richardson, because he has his moments, and if he's in command, you change your game plan. You say, you know what, Anthony, you carry us and you do your thing. But 56% completion percentage for the season, Brent, it sounds like Russell Wilson. And that's not necessarily a good thing. But I think Anthony Richardson might be more talented. Is that a weird thing to say?
Listen,
is that a hot take? I don't know.
He has a lot of talent. He really does. But he has to learn how to play the game a little more, and he hasn't quite figured it out. Of course, we're talking about a one-year anniversary, basically, of Anthony Richardson making his starting debut when he did it against the number one Dogs defense. Now, this defense might not be as good as that one, but it's not a big drop-off either. The one surprising stat about the Georgia Bulldogs defense, they're like really not good in sacks. I think they're last in the SEC in sacks.
They're behind Florida.
Which is so weird to see the number one team in the country, the defense that we think they are, last in a category like sacks. But I'm telling you what, I'm not sure how many people want to challenge them, how many dropbacks they have. You know, and teams try to play it close to the vest because you don't want to make the mistake against Georgia. Still, that pass rush is a little bit of a conversation piece up in Athens. It's probably the one area where they could get a lot better on the defensive side and maybe in their entire football team.
Yeah, they absolutely could. I was looking at that actually this morning, so it's funny you bring that up. But, yeah, you only have a few sacks on the team. Like I said, the Florida Gators have more for a defense that, we don't really trust. I will say this, Nolan Smith, though, he was like the number one player in high school when he came out. And he was a guy who, again, the number one guy, he didn't play very much when he came out right away because they had all these other guys playing in front of him. Right now he gets his opportunity. He leads the team in sacks, only 3, but he is really showing out. But I think that's kind of a credit to something we talked about yesterday with Carson Beck, right? These guys at Georgia, for the most part, they wait their turn, which is an interesting thing in college football. You don't see that as much anymore, but you have a guy like Nolan Smith now who waited his turn, is a good player, leads the team in sacks, might get one today, you never know, but is a guy that'll go in the first round now because he was patient. He played at Georgia, didn't go to the draft too early, and it's just a testament to, I guess, what Kirby Smart's doing.
Yeah, the path for the Florida Gators to win, in my opinion, is you've got to run the football, and then you've got to create a turnover or two, and probably 2. I don't know if one's going to get it done. I think they have to do that. And give credit to Stetson Bennett. He early on was in the Heisman race. He now has fallen off from a statistical standpoint, but he controls the game. He's not a game manager, by the way. He controls the game. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And they can lean on him when they need to, whether it's with the arm or the legs, and they trust him. They trust him to let it fly. I mean, all the way from the Oregon game when he came out throwing, he was brilliant in that game. That really put him on the map for, hey, wait a minute, maybe we should look at this guy not only as a national champ in this feel-good story, but he might be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and especially with what's surrounding him. And he's evolved. He continues to be very reliable, but he's going to be a tough guy to get it to turn over. I mean, you have to get fortunate. And, again, keep in mind, this isn't a Gator defense that's going to wreak a lot of havoc and probably put a lot of pressure on the team to force turnovers.
Swiss cheesy at times.
Yeah,
you could
very much
call
so.
The Florida defense.
But they can get pushed around.
They really
Georgia can push people around.
Yeah, they absolutely can. Stetson Bennett, to your point, only 1 interception on the season. So the Heisman stuff has died off, not enough touchdowns thrown. But, he finds ways to get it done one way or another. And I'll tell you this, when you got a guy like Brock Bowers you can throw the football to, certainly helps at the tight
Brock
end position.
Bowers is tremendous, and we all know it. I mean,
I'd draft him right now.
Everybody said that last year when he was a freshman. He's a sophomore
now,
and he's coming back for another year, and he's averaging 16-point-something yards every time he touches the football. How about this? He has more rushing touchdowns as a tight end than he does receiving touchdowns, 3-2.
Call him Deebo Samuel.
15 points a game, 15 yards a catch, for him as well. 27 yards a run. So, I mean, they pick their spots and they pick it well, and I think you can make the case, like we do a lot of times with guys that have big numbers, maybe he should have the ball even more in his hands. I think he only has like 26 catches this year. But they do get it to him and running the football as well, and he's broken off some longs. He's a talented player, and he's a mismatch for anybody. I'm not sure Alabama has anybody to help out with Bowers. It's just a matter of, do you try to figure out a way to stop him almost like a boxing one in basketball? I mean, do you really put a lot of attention? Well, they've got other people that can beat you, too.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? But I think it's going to be a long day for the linebacking core at Florida and, slot corner to whoever they decide to try to guard this guy with, because he is just incredible. But to your point, you can lock him up. That's great. Georgia can still put 35 on you, and he doesn't have to touch the football.
It's true.
It's wild, I think. Now, granted, Brent, they've been building this, right? I get it. But would you have thought, 3-4 years ago, we're talking about Georgia, they're going to put up 35 and give up 3? And we're just yeah, that's what it is now. That's what Georgia does. I can't believe we got here, and maybe that's just me, paying attention to Florida and somewhat being biased. But, here we are. And you put them in the conversation with Alabama. I just think it's kind of crazy that we got to this point.
34-7 last year. Keep in mind that was a 10-0 game until a couple of minutes to go in the second quarter, and then it exploded, and the game was out of reach with a couple of turnover scores, and then it turned into 34-7. And I've mentioned this all week long. The average margin of victory since 2014 has been 19 points, regardless of who wins. These games have not been that close. I mean, we've had close games, but they've not been that close over the last decade here in Jacksonville. And obviously Vegas doesn't think it'll be very close again. Hey, let's take a break. ESPN 690, Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. We have Celsius, Essential Energy, Live Fit. Come on by. Grab a Celsius. Come on by. Have some Polar Seltzer. You might want to mix that Polar Seltzer with something else in your cup. Just suggestion.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
What else are we passing out?
I brought the travel camp.
We got some travel camp koozies.
Yeah, man. All 6 of them.
Come on out and say hello.
Got a lot of stuff to carry.
Kasey taking pictures, selfies, if you're willing and able and want to.
True story. On the walk over here from RV City, one, I'm sweating way too much than I should be from that small amount of walk. 3 different people stopped their car to holler at Brent Martineau.
Yeah,
True story.
Good to see the people.
And one person called him Brad.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
That's all right.
Brad Martineau.
I've been called worse.
Brad.
Certainly been called worse. All right, we take a break. We're live, ESPN 690. Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. Take you till 11 o'clock. We hand right into Florida State coverage on ESPN 690, your home for Florida State football and basketball. We'll be right back.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly to mostly cloudy and mild today. Will be breezy, a brief shower or two with highs in the mid-70s, dropping into the mid-60s tonight. And partly cloudy, warmer and more humid tomorrow with a few showers at times, but plenty of dry hours for your Sunday as temperatures approach 80 in the afternoon. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Get the guaranteed lowest price at the only locally owned diamond store in the St. John's Town Center.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. Main office, Jacksonville.
It is Trucktober at Nimnik Buick GMC, and now's the time to get into that new GMC Sierra. Hey, I've got one of those, or maybe it's a GMC Canyon, and you had your eyes on it. Now's the time to do it. Nimnik's best price guarantee, 0% APR for well-qualified buyers through the month of October is happening. Stop by the showroom. Visit online, nimnikbuickgmc.com. Also through the month of October, $1,000 bonus cash to all first responders on eligible new Buick and GMC vehicles. Visit nimnikbuickgmc.com for eligibility. GMC, we are professional grade.
Here at Rhino Shield, we've been protecting homes for over 20 years. We're your go-to coating company for repairing and coating stucco, but Rhino Shield is engineered for any surface. Our coating is perfect for any siding or other material used on homes. From stucco to vinyl, brick, wood, or hardy board, if it's on your house, we can coat it. You know how in every good ad there's always a, but wait, there's more. Well, here it is. Not only do we protect homes, but we also do commercial and industrial buildings. If your business office gives the wrong impression or your warehouse looks the worse for wear, we are ready and able to get your building up to standards you can be proud of. Come check us out. Learn how we can help you or your business look great with 30% off your next job. It's a new day at Rhino Shield. Call or visit us online to set up an appointment. Rhino Shield, engineered to outlast paint.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 904-664-8214.
Hey, Johnny, $20 Mahomes throws more touchdowns than Brady this week.
Ha! That's easy money for me. You're on.
Ready to take your friends' money? Then download the Lucra Sports app right now. Lucra is the hottest new thing in online sports contests because with Lucra, you set the terms. That's right. No house, no bookies, and no sharks taking your money. Just one-on-one action with your friends. Fast, easy, and fun. Set custom contests against your buddies or anyone else in the Lucra community. You can even mix sports. Want to put up touchdowns against home runs or hat tricks against three-pointers? No problem. You pick the terms and post the contest. With Lucra, you can take your smack talking to a whole new level and then put your money where your mouth is. And you can use the free Lucra Sports app no matter where you live. So download Lucra now. That's Lucra. Use promo code WAGER and they'll put $20 right into your account to get you started. Download the free Lucra app now and use promo code WAGER for $20 free. That's code WAGER.
Nights of Lights in St. Augustine is November 19th through January 31st. Avoid crowds, long lines, and the hassles of parking and step on board the White Pelican with Redboat Tours. 3 tours daily, 1 family-friendly, and 2 BYOB cruises. See our website for details. You can even book the whole boat for your office and family Christmas parties. Let Captain Tony and Miss Jennifer show you the millions of lights in the city multiplied by the reflection on the water. It's breathtaking. Book early. The season fills up fast. Go to redboattours.com. That's redboattours.com.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
I know it's my turn to talk. I like the music.
Okay.
I'm just listening.
Well, I get that look, like the little side eye, like, should I talk? I'm like, yeah, you should talk.
I was listening. I was just jamming to a little bit of music.
Rumor has it the best cue to give Brent Martineau if you want him to talk is to just scream talk in his ear. I've heard he's a big fan of that. So, Brian, don't be afraid to get in there. Just talk.
You can do that, but I'll probably swear about you later if you do that.
That's true. I heard about it. Also, I just want to confirm that Brent did take a picture in the break with somebody. Yes. And I took a picture of Brent taking a picture with a fan. So catch that on the ESPN 690 Instagram.
By the way, if Austin Lane's listening too, that fan was checking in on his UFC stuff and wanted to say hello as well.
Was he checking in on me?
No, not really. I don't know why.
Oh.
Not yet.
Okay.
Someday, maybe you got to get in a fight or something.
You want to fight? I mean,
you could do that.
I could pick one.
That's Brent Martineau. It's Kasey Kuhrts. We're outside the DUUUVAL house. We're at the DUUUVAL house. We're on the steps. This is where we do the show. ESPN 690 Game Day Live, just on the foot of the Hart Bridge in the Teal House, all right? This is what we do for the Jags games. And then, well, you can see from our video, if you watch on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, we're right where the sign is to get on the Hart Bridge. That's exactly where we are. Stadium's right there. It's an overcast day, but in so many respects, it's a better day because of that. Well, wait, look at these. Look at the drinks these guys have.
What we got?
Look at that right there.
Is that a whole pineapple right
How much
there?
did that
Look
cost? $15.
That's it?
Not bad. A free refill.
Now, that's a deal right there.
Now, that's a good deal.
There you go.
All right, there we go. So that was for the radio listeners, that was a pineapple concoction.
Yeah, a full pineapple that was the cup. It was only $15 free refills. It's also $9.26 in the morning.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
But this show could be lit by 11 if we go get it.
The pineapple guy. I bet they look at him sideways when he buys
that TV show at 1:30 could really be lit if we go get the free refill $15 pineapple. Sometimes you got to do those things.
Well, the show's not off the rails yet, but we're getting there.
We were just over at RV City a short time ago. Business is certainly picking up here this morning, and it's going to get wild and wacky here in the next hour or so, where you're going to be stuck in traffic. Right now, it's actually pretty smooth sailing for the most part.
Brian
if you want
Middleton.
to get down here. Yeah, Middleton, it's going to take you a little bit to get here. Put your patience cap on, Brian Middleton. What's happening? Thanks for joining us on a Saturday morning.
Hey, man, I appreciate the opportunity, man, to join you guys.
Well, not everybody says that, so we appreciate you appreciating it.
There we go. Here we go. And now he's appreciating us. Yeah, we get it. It's Doug Peterson in the press conference saying things.
Hey, let's get your take. This Florida-Georgia game, you're a Georgia Southern fan, so you don't –
the real GSU.
Does that make you kind of a Georgia fan?
Absolutely not, Brent. You know, on the stream, people can see, where my allegiance lies right here. I got my Carolina stuff right here. Wow. That sounded disappointing.
That's a big win. That's a big win for you last week.
Listen, yeah, when you're dealing with the top 25 team, like the Gamecocks, I won't get too far into that.
South Carolina in the top 25?
Yeah, number 25, as a matter of fact. Put some respect on their name.
I didn't even look at the poll this year because after the top 7 or 8, it's like everybody else is playing for the JV trophy.
True. That is true. I agree with that.
JV trophy. As far as Florida-Georgia or Georgia-Florida this year, I co-sign with a lot of what you guys were saying. Something that I'm a big nerd on when it comes to football is the line play. And so I know that Florida has one of their linemen, Osiris Torrance, I believe. He didn't play in the LSU game. He was trying to warm up for that game, and he was still coming off of an injury. But he'll be playing this game right here. And I was reading up on him, and Pro Football Focus has him as the top guard in the nation. I mean, Florida has to, in my opinion, not a collegiate head coach, but I would lean on that when you start talking about, the run game, because in the LSU game, especially since he didn't play, that run game, they struggled mightily. And I think that when you're dealing with a defense like UGA and everything that you guys were saying about the Bulldogs is accurate about that defense, you got to take the wins where you can get them. And I think that you got backs on your team that can make one cut and go as long as they have the space. And I think that Torrance is one of those guys that can create those holes even against such a great defense like UGA. So we'll see what they decide to do. But leaning on the right side of that line, pretty heavily, I think that's got to be a part of Billy Napier's plan in order to have some semblance of success against the Bulldogs, because they're so strong at just about every position.
Absolutely. That's a good take, too, and I agree with you. I think they've got to be able to run the ball. I think the Gators have looked good running the ball for the most part. I think they have to maybe pick a horse, too, because they'll do this three-headed monster. I think Etienne has looked really good, but do they have to pick one, or maybe pick 2 out of the 3 and lean on get somebody the hot hand early? Who are you going to find to have a big game? I think that's what it takes in these games. You have somebody that's got to steal the game for you, and you have to have you can't just say, hey, everybody's going to win here and have a good day. That's like Kasey putting down a wager and thinking he's going to get all 3 right. You can't do that. You got to pay just one wager. That's smarter, and just take your chances, or at least find it.
Why are you
know
shooting
what I mean?
at me?
Brent Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, Brian Middleton, ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house here on ESPN 690. We're on the social media channels as well. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.
They're looking for the pineapples, I'm guessing.
I don't know where those guys are going. They got construction outfits on, but they're on the run, and they're definitely not construction workers.
No, they're not. And the pineapple drinks are that way, so maybe they heard the $15 for refills.
You should watch the feed just to see everything going on in the background on occasion here on social media. Well, you never know what's going to happen back there. But you know what I'm saying? Who would you like to see them? I'm not sure you're going to lean on Etienne. I still think he's kind of your guy to mix in there. But, I mean, are we talking like a 20-plus carry day for somebody, or can you still do this thing by committee and beat Georgia?
So they probably should lean on a guy, right, in my opinion. They're not going to. That would be probably the most shocking thing that could happen today, because you got guys that they all have the same amount of carries, man, 59, 56, 53. These guys are Anthony Richardson included. But your 2 lead backs and Anthony Richardson, they're getting the same amount of carries. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to lean on a guy. I think they should, and I like Trevor Etienne, man. I just think it looks different when he gets the football. No disrespect to the other backs, but I think he just pops off the screen at you in a way that Travis did. Not to the full extent yet, right? He's still a young player, but I would really like to see them feature Trevor Etienne today. Again, I don't see it happening, but I think we're going to look up in a couple years, and that guy's going to be the real deal, and hopefully he's still at the University of Florida.
Yeah, he looks good, and it's been fun to watch him. And, maybe in back-to-back weeks, ETNs will get touchdowns here at TIAA Bank Field. Travis did it last week. Trevor has a chance, and Travis talked about that this week. He joked about, like, well, at least I got mine before he did. I'd never hear it at the end of it.
That's true, too.
And he would have some bragging power there, Trevor would, because Travis has played here a few more times already this season.
Yeah.
And so he got that done. Back to Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is really the key, but the reason why we talk about the running game, and I think Brian brought up a good point there, is because it will help him. You need to lean on it to help him out. You need to shorten the game, maybe eliminate possessions, because here's the deal. In a game like this, if you eliminate possessions, maybe steal a possession somewhere along the way, now you get a turnover, and you maximize it even more, because Georgia's proven they can play methodical, they can be quick strike, they can win in a variety of ways. And I think for Florida, I mean, we're not talking – this is a big spread, but we're not talking about like a team that can't play with Georgia. I think they can play with them. I mean, they beat Utah. If Utah was playing Georgia right now, would you say Utah could play with Georgia? Yeah, I think you would. So I think the Gators can do it. Their lack of consistency, they don't have as much talent. That's crystal clear. But if you can run the football, shorten the game, and just take advantage of your opportunities, well, that's the recipe to win. But the biggest recipe to win is Anthony Richardson playing a clean game, a smart game, but also raises his level of play a la the Utah game. He's the key.
He is the key. He's at any given time, he can be the best player on the field. I'll stand by it. He just hasn't been a lot recently. So, yeah, you make it easier on that guy. But I think they have something that Georgia doesn't, Brent, because I don't think Stetson Bennett can get to where Anthony Richardson can get. Now, Stetson Bennett significantly much more consistent, I should say. So you do have that to worry about. But if Anthony Richardson goes to that Utah level, if he goes to some of the levels we've seen him at, and again, not consistently, but if he gets there, then it might be a full takeover situation, and I don't think the Georgia Bulldogs can even stop him. I don't think they're going to get there because, yes, they did beat Utah early in the season, but, I do really wonder if Florida can consistently play with these guys. They might play with them once, right? But I think if these teams lined up more than one time a year.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's all you need. And I said that. I think a 10-game series, Georgia's probably winning 8 or 9 of them. I mean, they are that much better. That's why you see the spread the way you see it. And when you don't have a defense that you feel confident can make stops, that's a really tough position to be in. We talk about this a lot with the Jags, right, each and every day. And I actually brought up the Gators in this context. The one thing about the Jags, we have no idea who they are. We don't know what might go wrong tomorrow. But we've also seen a lot of things go right. Mm-hmm. So they don't have this one glaring weakness. If I asked you the biggest fault of the Jags right now, you wouldn't be able to pinpoint just one thing. You'd say sometimes it's Trevor. You'd say sometimes it's turnovers. You'd say sometimes it's drops. You'd say sometimes the defense hasn't stopped anybody. You'd say they're not getting turnovers. But they've done all those things in a successful way, too. So you don't really know about them. Well, I think Florida, it's totally different. The Gators, you know one thing. They really aren't good on defense.
I don't know.
And when you know that, you can't fix it. You can't just go get a roster. You can't remake the roster.
No.
You're either good or you're not, or you're average.
You can only recruit for next year.
Or you get some help because guys were hurt or coming back. Or it's not that story for the Gators on defense. And so that's the problematic point. You've got to coach it up big time. And then you also have to rely on those guys playing really good and above the way they've played. And I think that's just a lot to ask because you're asking them to do it against a team that is better than you almost on every level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you're asking these guys on defense to play better than they've played all year against the team that's matchup-wise just better. Mm-hmm. So it's a really difficult task.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right. To piggyback off of the point that you were making about coaching the team up, the coaching in this game for Florida has to be impeccable. And honestly, Coach Napier can't get too cute with things. Looking up some stats on how their 3rd and 4th down conversion has gone so far this season, they're 34 and 80, 34 out of 80 attempts of converting the 3rd down. A little bit better in the 4th down, 9 out of 16. But there's been some pretty, questionable calls throughout the season. Anybody who's followed a couple of these games for Florida, and you can't. I'm all for risking things on 3rd and 4th down to maybe prove a point or keep a drive going or, have the belief in your team. But with UGA, you may just have to take the points where you can get them and hope to, like Brent was saying, maybe shorten the game with the run game and give, Anthony Richardson a chance to make a play or two going down the stretch. Pointing to analytics, I get it. It's all the craze. The numbers say a certain thing, but you got to take other things into mind when you are talking about, I'm going to do this play or we're going to go for it on a 4th down. And against a team like UGA, that could get you behind the 8 ball really quick, like in the first quarter. So when it comes to the actual coaching aspect, coaching them up on defense and that play calling on offense, I'm not saying that you don't take any risk, but it has to be super calculated and not just like let's point at the analytics and it said that this works more times than not, because that can, like I said, have you behind the 8 ball and then all of a sudden you look up, it's 28-0 and you're going into the second quarter.
It's an interesting way to look at it, Brian, because to me, the way here's the thing. I don't think Billy Napier, no matter what the stats say, no matter who they have on their offensive line, any of it, I don't think Billy Napier is going to come out and run the football 30 whatever times, right? I just don't think it's in his DNA. I think there's got to be some sort of, in the contract when you sign for the Florida Gators, you can't run the ball more than 14 times a game. Like, you have to sign off on that. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I see it. But to that point, Brian, I think the one thing that I was happy about with Billy Napier in the game against Utah, I remember saying it on overtime, was he coached like he had nothing to lose. It was game one. He was daring. He did those things. And although your point is the right one in terms of, hey, you don't get it on 4th down, you give it to them with a short field, you're probably in trouble. But at the same time, I don't think the Florida Gators are good enough to win this game without doing some of those things. I wouldn't be mad necessarily if he comes out and coaches in that way that he did against Utah, right, going for it on 4th down and doing those kind of things. I know the analytics, and it's probably not the best move against a Georgia team when you don't have a good football team on the other side, but I think Billy Napier kind of has to coach that way if they want to win.
That's an interesting point. That's a good – I think you could say both things. Because here's the deal. You have to be aggressive, right, to go win. I get that mentality, but you can't be reckless, and that's a fine line because if you're reckless, they make it hurt.
Right.
Right? And then what's the line? You know what the line is? When it works, you're aggressive. When it doesn't, you're reckless.
That's a good call.
Yeah. And that's as simple. Like it's a win situation if you execute it, and it's an all lose situation if you don't. I mean, because that's how the game works. We did this last night at the high school level. We were talking about the Bishop Kenny game.
Oh, right.
Bowles, like they were being aggressive, but when it didn't work, they almost put Bowles in a position to win the game, and then they made a big stop. And so you've got to – how do you frame it? But I will say I think you guys are right on this. You can't be super conservative.
No.
Like, you can't just do that. What happens a lot, I've covered so many bad Jags teams. This doesn't usually happen in college football because you don't see spreads like this when you have two pretty good programs. But you'll hear people say, we got to steal something. We're going to steal a possession. Whether that's an onside kick, well, nobody does it very much anymore, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a fake punt, now you can do that. Whether it's a go for it on the plus side of the field or right at midfield. What that does is it feels like you stole something when you were giving it back. And that is a key thing. If you can do that once, you're not going to be able to do that 3 times in a game. But if you can do that once, that could change momentum. But you got to be able to execute it because it can blow up in your face too.
Yeah.
And then you're screwed.
Yeah, you would be. And to that point, though, Brian, and you brought it up, you get back a guard that's one of the best in the country, right? You need a yard, you need 2 yards. Well, you should be able to run Anthony Richardson off that guard and get 2 yards. True. He's an athlete. He's big. He should be able to get those yards. To that point, will they? Who knows? Who knows, right? We've seen it enough on this field, at least. Who knows if they can get a yard? I know it's a different team, but still. The trauma's still there.
Hey, let's take a break here from the DUUUVAL House. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House. We do this each and every Sunday on home games for the Jags, and we have a special Georgia-Florida edition as we see a lot of Dogs fans. That's another part of this. It's usually a 50-50 split. Given the spread, given the success of the Dogs,
I'll start counting.
could we potentially see more Dogs than Gators in here?
I mean,
it's not usually how this game works because everybody comes. It's tradition.
I'm not going to lie. The last 16 people that have walked by us have been Georgia Bulldogs.
I've seen a lot of Dogs, right? And now, listen, there's pockets. But most of the people that are walking by us are wearing red and black. And so it makes you think a little. They're a fun team to watch right now. And Athens isn't an hour and a half away.
No, I get you.
You know what I mean?
A little more commitment.
A little more commitment from if you're a local, it might be worth paying a little extra. And if you're a Gator, it might be worth unloading that ticket if you're.
Maybe the Gators fans are just late arriving. Right 9 in the morning. Right, the game's at 3:30. Okay.
We'll be back. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House. Brent, Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, Brian Middleton here on a Saturday morning in the River City.
Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You'll save time and make the most money. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry, so you can sell your home stress-free and make the most money. When you get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, there are no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Certain restrictions apply.
I'm Dr. Stork. Doesn't your family deserve the best? Eggland's Best Eggs, classic, cage-free, and organic, give you and your family more. More delicious, farm-fresh taste, plus superior nutrition. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
God, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Ready to swoop in the fall of 2022? The UNF Ospreys are ready with a lot of momentum on campus. New improvements at UNF Arena with basketball season right around the corner and tickets already on sale. The fall schedule underway in volleyball and men's and women's soccer, also men's and women's cross country. Get the latest news, schedules, results, and information on tickets for all things Ospreys at UNFospreys.com. Join the Osprey Club, attend a game or a match. Be a part of the momentum at the University of North Florida right now at UNFospreys.com.
Are you ready for a scary good deal? Then get to Arlington Toyota for the Ghost Your Payments event and watch your payments like a ghost disappear. How about no payments until 2023 on your new Toyota purchase? Arlington will even waive your last 6 lease or loan payments. Got a trade? Arlington will pay up to MSRP for your trade. You'll also get no maintenance costs for 4 years. It's the Ghost Your Payments event going on now at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/October for full detail.
Hey, Johnny, $20 Mahomes throws more touchdowns than Brady this week.
Ha! That's easy money for me. You're on.
Ready to take your friends' money? Then download the Lucra Sports app right now. Lucra is the hottest new thing in online sports contests because with Lucra, you set the terms. That's right, no house, no bookies, and no sharks taking your money. Just one-on-one action with your friends. Fast, easy, and fun. Set custom contests against your buddies or anyone else in the Lucra community. You can even mix sports. Want to put up touchdowns against home runs or hat tricks against three-pointers? No problem. You pick the terms and post the contest. With Lucra, you can take your smack talking to a whole new level and then put your money where your mouth is. And you can use the free Lucra Sports app no matter where you live. So download Lucra now. That's Lucra. Use promo code WAGER and they'll put $20 right into your account to get you started. Download the free Lucra app now and use promo code WAGER for $20 free. That's code WAGER.
Did you know that the air in your home can be much worse than the air outdoors? In fact, the EPA lists indoor air quality as one of the top 5 health threats in America. Zero Res can help. Cleaning air ducts is all about power. The more power you have, the more air you can move, and that's how you clean air ducts. Our truck mount system moves over 1,500 CFMs to pull out all the dirt and debris out of your home. Right now, Zero Res is offering $50 off the cleaning of your air duct system. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
It's the Blitz Scoreboard Show every Friday night at 9 p.m. on ESPN 690. Join Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, and the Hall of Famer Kevin Sullivan for scores, analysis, interviews, and live video of games on the ESPN 690 social media platforms.
ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House. We are on the front steps. The people are out. Georgia, Florida. It's getting busy here, Brian Middleton. You're going to be in some traffic when you make your way down here, but we are here until 11 a.m. usually for Jags home games, but Florida, Georgia as well. Brent, Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, Brian Middleton, the broadcast on in the studios. Obviously, we know what's going on with this one, Florida, Georgia. It's a big spread. We're going to talk about it for a whole nother hour after this. But Brian Middleton, we got other college football games that are exciting that I think that people would want to hear about. Do you want to gloat about the South Carolina Gamecocks now, or should we move on and come back to them?
Yeah, we can start now because I still got to get that clip up just in case things go left today, by the way.
Right.
So, yeah, man, but South Carolina, top 25 team. I know that most people are focused on Georgia and Florida, but for right now, Kasey Kuhrts, let me have my win. Jacksonville, let me have my win, okay? The Gamecocks are doing well. Young Beamer has the boys playing. We're going to go to a bowl and be bowl eligible probably before November for the first time in forever since, like, Steve Spurrier has been there. So, you know, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Feeling better than Gator fans right now.
Yeah, that's probably accurate, by the way, but I told you this during the show. Don't sleep on Missouri. We talked about it earlier in the show. Missouri almost beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
I slept well.
See,
today. Only reason I'm not going to sleep during the afternoons because of the Georgia-Florida game. That's the only reason why. I'm sleeping well right now. I'm not worried about Missouri in the least.
Missouri's pesky, Brent Martineau. South Carolina might not be ranked at the end of the week. Don't tell Brian Middleton. But
oh, this would be the letdown game. And it does happen. It's part of building the program. You got to be able to back it up a little bit. Speaking of some other games in college football, let's talk about it. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, Brian Middleton, ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. Ohio State, Penn State.
Sleeper.
That could be good, huh?
No,
Penn State's really not that good.
Penn State is not that good.
But Penn State, to me, is another one of those teams that symbolizes college football this year. They're 6-1. And they're as average as the day is long. Mm-hmm. Maybe not even. Like, I'm not even sure they're really average.
No.
And Ohio State's going to thump them today. But that means you can be the 13th ranked team in the country and you're not really that good.
Yeah.
That's college football right now.
15.5 points. Ohio State is the favorite. So I would take the points. And by the way, what I'm looking at right now tells me the Georgia Bulldogs have moved from 22.5 to 23.
Really? That surprises me. I don't like the line. I think the line's too much, even though I continue to give thoughts about, you know, it's been a blowout and blowouts are common in this game. What else has our attention here on a college football Saturday, even if Penn State and Ohio State's supposed to get our attention?
Do we care about these games that, you know, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, all these teams just scoring a bunch of points? Everybody's ranked, but again, it makes no sense. You got Oklahoma State, the 9th team in the country right now, playing Kansas State. I mean, are we intrigued? Like, they're going to score points, Brian Middleton, but, like, are you intrigued at all to even turn on that matchup?
Yeah, not really, right? Not really, but it's not for a lack of, as you just said, scoring points. If that's something that really draws your ire, you just want to see the ball get into the end zone, this game is for you. But, you know, as for me, I want to see teams that potentially actually have a chance to, you know, be in the playoffs and win the championship, at least this week right here. So, nah, that's not for me, but
I give it to you. A team that could be in the playoff, by the way, which sneaky good game, Tennessee and Kentucky. Obviously in Tennessee, apparently they had to get new goalposts, but
well, hey, the thing it's the same thing, right? Can they follow up all the madness of the last couple of weeks where everybody's telling you you're great, and win with Georgia coming on the horizon, right? So we're saying that from Georgia's perspective, and Kentucky can get you. You know, Kentucky has been able to do this. They're a good program now. They're established, and they'll be savvy enough and have the moxie to be able to pull off an upset if Tennessee allows it to happen. Tennessee, if they're really good, they take care of business today at home.
100%.
If they're not really as good as everybody thinks and they're going to do Tennessee things, so Vols fans want to think, well, they'll lose this one. And it still won't be out of it, by the way, next week when they play Georgia. But it'll be a somewhat crushing loss from a college football playoff perspective and maybe,
by the way,
you know, possible second team in the SEC.
11.5-point favorites. I'm not touching that. Kentucky's going to cover that 11.5. If Tennessee covers that spread, now granted they just beat Alabama, so how stupid is this going to sound? But if they cover that spread, I will feel so much better about them. Yeah. After they just beat Alabama, I'm like, you know what? Beat Kentucky by 12. Then I'll really be a fan. I just think 11.5 is a lot of points right there.
I asked this question: who's good in college football? And you can look at the rankings, and you can tell me who you think is good. But I'm not going by the rankings because I just told you Penn State's the 13th ranked team in the country, and they're not really that good. I think everybody would say that. They're 6-1, and they're just okay. They don't scare anybody.
Sean Clifford, though, he have a residency at Penn State. He's been there like 7 years.
It's amazing how long.
It's a wild thing.
Are you guys
still mid?
Are you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was asking, are you guys big on Hendon Hooker being a dark horse for the Heisman, though?
I don't think he's a dark horse anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with him. He's going to get another moment potential today. He's going to get a big moment next week. And if he plays well against Alabama and Georgia, I mean, I'm not sure there's anybody that's more deserving.
Yeah. No.
I mean, you can throw the stats at me.
Sure.
But that guy is leading Tennessee to a place that they haven't been. And he's putting up the crazy numbers against Alabama and potentially at Georgia. I'd give it to him next Sunday.
Really? Early?
Yeah, early.
Yeah, why not? Okay. Yeah, no, I'm with it again. There's not, to Brent's point, like, is there anybody else that's really dominating out there that you feel good about? No, not really. I mean, all the guys that were on the Heisman at least favorite to start the season, like Anthony Richardson ain't winning it.
No,
Dylan Gabriel ain't winning
been
it.
fine, right? I mean,
but he's been fine.
But and Bryce Young's been hurt a little bit. It's hard to win the Heisman when you miss some time, and he's missed a little bit of time. And I think,
the door's open.
He's been good. Yeah, the door's open again. I think what Tennessee's doing could play a role. Now we'll see where it ends up. There's still a lot to be written on that story. Back to my question, guys. Georgia's good, right? They're the national champs. They're still undefeated. We think they're good.
Georgia is a good team. Yeah.
I think Ohio State's good, right?
They are.
I mean, Ohio State's legit.
Yes.
I don't know where you guys see Alabama, but Alabama, this is an interesting rendition. Alabama's Alabama, so maybe they'll always be in it, but I don't remember Alabama teams getting like 15 penalties a game kind of Alabama. How good are they?
I'm not betting against them.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They're a playoff team. They're a top 4
All right,
team in the
so I'll
country.
give you Alabama. Then what? Clemson? I know they're undefeated, but is anybody buying this edition of Clemson? I don't even really know who their quarterback is right now.
Well, they know who it is. They just made the wrong choice,
Well,
right?
they might have made the wrong choice.
I don't
know.
believe
Last time they did that, it worked out pretty well for them.
A little different. But yeah, I don't believe in Clemson. No, I think, to be honest, I think if they run it back with Wake puts it on them. I think Wake's a better team, even though they lost.
All right, give me some more. USC. Not yet.
I'm
right?
not convinced.
A year away.
But yeah, I think they're a year away as well, Brian. But to that point, like, they're not getting in, right? But I think this is what's interesting about the expanded playoff. Like, you get USC up against one of these teams. Like, I think that's an intriguing matchup.
TCU.
I like what they're doing, but, like...
That's a great story.
No.
Doesn't mean, like, I'm talking a legit, like, national title good kind of team.
No.
So, and there may be somebody else in there. Yeah, you can have debate. You can have your team that you like. It's okay. I'm not going to criticize you for that. I think a lot of these... Oh, by the way, I left out Michigan. Is Michigan legit back-to-back years?
I think so.
Yeah,
just based off of what we have to choose from, I'm going to say yeah.
Oh, you played right into my hands, Brian Middleton.
All right.
Thank you very much.
There we
because
go.
Here's what I'm getting at. I don't think Georgia's as good as they were last year. But
Gotta start throwing stuff.
I don't think college football is as deep or as good as it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters is how are you relative to what you're playing against. Right?
Yeah.
So I think most people would agree the product of college football, the amount of good teams of college football, it's just not there this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
I think Georgia's still the best. But I just think the notch, let's just say last year was a 10 on the scale of quality play, good teams, the teams that were really good are legit. We're going to get some unbelievable games. I would just say this is down at an 8, or maybe it's even a 7. It's a weird year in college football. Not everybody's bad. There's probably more parity than we've seen.
Yeah.
But the reason we've seen more parity is because the top-heavy teams have kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think, to be honest with you, Brent, I would not be surprised in the slightest if we end up with 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams.
That'd be something.
Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, and then I think you could make a case if they both go undefeated.
Ohio State, Michigan.
You take both of them.
That'd be pretty wild, Middleton.
Yeah, I don't see that one.
Come on.
I'm just being real with you. The
You know
two
why
SEC
you don't-
schools, I guess it just has to happen before I can actually see that being a thing, Kasey.
Yeah, listen, I know we're up against a break, so that's
Yeah.
probably why you don't see it, right?
Oh,
You're like,
okay.
you know what?
There you
He's
go.
right. That's a good point, but
Absolutely
you
not.
know, yeah, okay. Anyway,
All right,
Brent, we
since
got a
we're
whole
up
nother
against
hour
the
to
break,
go.
Let's go talk about it for another hour. We've got some interviews, too, that we'll have for this Georgia-Florida game from both sides of the aisle. When we come back, ESPN 690, Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House. Brent, Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, Brian Middleton. It's starting to get busy down here in the River City. Should be a fun day. We'll be right back.
Here at Rhino Shield, we've been protecting homes for over 20 years. We're your go-to coating company for repairing and coating stucco, but Rhino Shield is engineered for any surface. Our coating is perfect for any siding or other material used on homes. From stucco to vinyl, brick, wood, or hardy board, if it's on your house, we can coat it. You know how in every good ad there's always a, but wait, there's more. Well, here it is. Not only do we protect homes, but we also do commercial and industrial buildings. If your business office gives the wrong impression or your warehouse looks the worse for wear, we are ready and able to get your building up to standards you can be proud of. Come check us out. Learn how we can help you or your business look great with 30% off your next job. It's a new day at Rhino Shield. Call or visit us online to set up an appointment. Rhino Shield, engineered to outlast paint.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens FindRx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Technology lets you access a personal trainer from home, like on this exercise mirror.
Let's talking more squatting.
But to keep your hybrid workforce in shape, you need more than technology.
And kick. And jump.
You need PCs powered by Intel vPro, custom configured by CDW. Hardware-based security and remote management make it easy to protect and monitor PCs from anywhere.
Wait, don't turn me off.
Intel vPro makes secure remote management possible. CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/vpro.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau. Check out Action Sports Jacks weekdays from 3 until 6 on ESPN 690.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. Game 1 of the 2022 World Series goes to the Philadelphia Phillies. They rallied from a 5-0 deficit in Houston, tie the game with the Astros, get a great catch in right field from Nick Castellanos in the bottom of the 9th to save the day, and then a homer in the 10th from JT Realmuto to win it. 1-0 series lead now for Philadelphia manager Rob Thompson, who says defense came up big, just like in the divisional series.
Just reminded me of Atlanta, It makes you feel good because it was a pretty good result in that game too. So, yeah, it was. I thought we played really well defensively. Bowman made a couple of really good plays, and Castellanos made a play, and so all around, I thought we really played well. And again, played with poise, confidence, and very relaxed.
Game 2 of the World Series coming up later on today, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the coverage to begin here on ESPN Radio. In the NBA Friday, we had a couple of games featuring an undefeated team. The Bucks still undefeated, knocking off the Knicks to go to 4-0, the only unbeaten in the league, and a winless team, one of 2, both in California, one in Northern, that's the Sacramento Kings, and in Southern Cal, the Lakers, now 0-5. after a 111-102 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the NHL on Friday, Logan Thompson, 29 saves for the Vegas Golden Knights, who shut out Anaheim 4-0, and 30 saves for Linus Ullmark of the Bruins. 4-0 victory in Columbus over the Blue Jackets.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Byron Leftwich, the game plan just looks stale. And I get that your O-line is depleted, but it's been depleted. The worst thing to do is to do nothing.
Get more from the guys Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's game day. Welcome to ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Live from the DUUUVAL House, next to TIAA Bank Field. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tuckin'. Here's Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
It's picking up here downtown. We are live at the DUUUVAL House, Phillips and Hunt, and we've got ourselves a big-time party. Hey, Celsius Essential Energy. That was good. I could have said Celsius Essential Energy. You could have done the pop the
awesome.
top.
That would have been great.
Live fit.
If only
that would have been a live commercial. Been fantastic.
Still
Brent
Celsius,
Martineau,
still good.
Kasey Kuhrts, Brian Middleton. The food, you can smell it. When are they going to bring it out? Hopefully they drop some off to us. They're cooking right here at the DUUUVAL
That's what
House.
I'm saying. Like, if it's at 11 and it looks like it's almost done, let's just pretend like we're still on the radio so they bring it to us.
A lot of dog fans that we are seeing here on a Saturday morning. We'll see the orange and blue as well. Maybe they're a little bit more sleeping in.
Listen, you could still be asleep in Gainesville and make it. All right, it's fine. It's fine. They'll be here.
True. Well, I'm not sure about you'll make it because it's going to be a little bit of traffic.
They'll be here.
For sure.
Not. Listen, if you can make money on the tickets, I'm not mad
at you. Celsius Essential Energy. Stop on by right here where we are. We have a tent. We're handing it out along with Polar Seltzer and our ESPN 690 Game Day Live coverage, also presented by Go Tuckin'. We do this each and every Sunday home game for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we do it one time for the college football scene right here in Jacksonville with the Georgia-Florida game set to take off at 3:30 this afternoon on CBS 47. We'll have a 1-hour Battle of the Border pregame show coming up at 1:30 on the TV side, then postgame and primetime later tonight. So full coverage on CBS 47 all day long. Meanwhile, here on ESPN 690, we're getting ready for Florida State and Georgia Tech. 3-4 Georgia Tech, 4-3 Florida State. Florida State's lost 3 in a row. They need a dub, and you can hear it right here on ESPN 690. We'll join the pregame coverage in progress at 11 o'clock and then noon kickoff for FSU today. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, Brian Middleton. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention, and probably should have already discussed, the news last night that's not even 24 hours old. This happened just around 5 o'clock last night on the eve of this fantastic football game. The passing of Vince Dooley, the legendary coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, and the world is reacting, the college football world reacting now to Vince Dooley as we have lost a legend of this game, of the institution that is the University of Georgia, and college football. He's a college football Hall of Famer. Of course, he was a longtime AD at Georgia as well, and he's always been a fixture around here. I've been here 15 years, and we run into Vince Dooley annually. You were telling me at the Georgia-Florida luncheon a couple years ago you
right
saw
over
him,
there.
right?
Right over there.
So he's been about, I think the last time we saw him was that Oregon game
earlier this
on
season,
TV.
yeah.
And 90 years old, and he had some health issues. He had just gotten out of the hospital recently, and then obviously back in. So today they will recognize Dooley, and I'm not sure exactly the extent of it. What I know is there'll be a message and a tribute on the video boards here at TIAA Bank Field before the national anthem. And what else will be done, or if anything else will be done, we don't know yet. But this is obviously very fresh, and so there will be a remembrance of sorts and an honoring of Vince Dooley, one of the legends of this fantastic game. All-time wins leader at Georgia, national champ 1980, 6-time SEC championship winner. And then how about this just crazy anecdote that relates to Jacksonville? Vince Dooley coached his last game in Jacksonville. We said yesterday on the show, Bobby Bowden coached his last game in Jacksonville. Somebody else chimed in and brought up a great point. Woody Hayes also coached his last game in Jacksonville. Isn't that crazy? What a tie that probably doesn't mean anything. But 2 of those were done in the actually all 3 of those were in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
And obviously Woody Hayes for different reasons because of the punch.
Yeah.
But just, I guess, a great irony that those legends finished their coaching career here in the River City, and then I just thought it was wild last night that this news came down, and I also think it's kind of a neat thing that you can celebrate Vince Dooley around this game.
Yeah.
That it was on the eve of Georgia, Florida, that obviously we learned of the passing of Vince Dooley.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just that those kind of interesting facts that you just shared are just, I've said it a couple of times yesterday, but just the way that sports is just weird and strange, but at the same time, it's why you love it, right? I think just that Jacksonville can have that connection, and then obviously having the game today, it's certainly an interesting thing. But I said this to Brian yesterday, Brent, what a life, right? 90 years, like all that you accomplish, like that's a full life now, Brent. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make it any less sad, but still, I think it's cool that they have this opportunity to remember him before the game and during the game and probably after the game as well. So, but I just can't get over that. A great life. Unfortunately, you lose a life, but still a great one. 90 years, incredible.
There will be toasts on the Georgia side before and after this game for Vince Dooley, and probably people raising one up on the Florida Gators side as well, just a fixture in this rival. I think there's a lot of respect there. Scott Strickland issued a statement for the Florida Gators as well. I just mentioned that little anecdote about the last games in Jacksonville, and then I didn't look it up. But Ben Becker brought this up to me yesterday. He's like, well, didn't Urban Meyer coach his last game in Jacksonville, too?
Chill. Ben
I thought
Becker,
that was pretty good.
Yo.
I don't know. Where did he,
man.
what was the last game? Was it on college?
For the Jags?
Yeah.
No, it was Tennessee.
It was at Tennessee?
Man.
Yes. Dang it. See, Becker? I just
Hey,
didn't look it up yet. So I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Totally different context, but it's a good idea.
Brent and Kasey, one more thing about Vince Dooley. I was telling Kasey yesterday on OT about going to Georgia Southern and hearing about, Vince Dooley just from there, because there were people who were UGA fans. And, of course, they like Georgia Southern if they're going to Georgia Southern now. But there is a connection as far as the coaching tree. I don't know who else came from under Vince Dooley, but a guy named Irk Russell, which I've said a couple of times on OT. He's like a Georgia Southern, he's like the all-time great coach there. And, Vince Dooley's reach was very far and wide, to the point where you were saying that Florida is probably raising the glass to them. And I know people at Georgia Southern are as well. So, a life well lived, and his resume, I mean, you can put it up against most people who have ever had that position at the collegiate level, and it would hold its own. So, well done to him.
Yeah, and I think, listen, we had Kevin Sullivan on during the time when this all went down yesterday, and we heard of the news. And I think Sully, who's a Hall of Fame high school football coach and coached for a long time, and obviously runs into a lot of these different legends on the recruiting trail during his time. And he brought up just a great point. If you want to talk about 90 years and legacy and those kind of things, he said, just think about the amount of people Vince Dooley impacted, young men, families, just the domino effect of all that. And, by the way, he was an athletic director, so administrative people, teachers, coaches, other athletes in other sports.
Yeah.
I mean, you start to think about that, you're like, wow. You see people who get into the profession.
Yeah.
And the profession, in my opinion, it feels different in today's day and age because of the amount of dollars that are at stake. And so it's hard to appreciate it from a genuine, natured position. But if you take like high school sports and even lower level college sports where these folks aren't making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're putting all the time and effort in, well, that's why they get into it. Even the greats like Vince Dooley before, and by the way, he wasn't coaching in the heyday of making $8 million a year, right? So
if only.
Yeah, if only. But I thought it was great perspective. And if you just think about that from a Vince Dooley-only perspective, we used to talk about this when we did a tribute to Bobby Bowden.
Right.
And the amount of people impacted, just unbelievable. And we got to see some of them yesterday in the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame luncheon. I mean, with Champ Bailey and John Little, and those guys talk about him and know the impact that he had on that university, even if they didn't play for him.
Yeah, I think to that point, though, and I thought I was actually thinking about it before you said it, what Coach Sully said, and even on his level, right, he's impacted so many people. And I think I in the moment thought about, obviously you played sports, so did Brian, like, I'm sure there's coaches that you think of when you kind of think about this kind of stuff, right? Like if one of your former coaches were to pass or something, you'd be like, oh, wow, that really impacted me.
Yes.
So I think everybody who, and I imagine if you're listening, you probably played sports or love sports in some capacity where, you can relate it, even though you didn't play for Vince Dooley or knew him, but you can relate it in your life to, hey, you know what, I have a similar relationship with this person. So, but to your point, Brent, just the amount of people is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the Georgia-Florida luncheon, we had a chance to catch up with another Georgia legend yesterday before he got inducted, and it was Champ Bailey, Folkestone's own Champ Bailey from just across the border. And it's a big day for him and his family, and we had a chance to catch up with him about going into another Hall of Fame. He's already a Pro Football Hall of Famer, a College Football Hall of Famer, and last week he told me he was inducted into the Georgia High School Hall of Fame, and this time around it's a Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame for Champ Bailey. He'll be honored on the field with the rest of the class of 2022. Here's a bit of our conversation with Champ.
What does this one mean to you? So many different recognitions for your career, but what's it like to be back here?
I'm honored. When you think about, the time growing up, I grew up right across the border. So this atmosphere was always in my backyard. I always got to feel it growing up. So I was always inspired by what I saw going on here in Jacksonville. But now to be reflecting on my play in this game and my time here at Georgia, it's everything.
You had so many unbelievable moments. Is it hard to remember these games back in those late 90s and what it all meant for both programs?
To be honest, I remember one in 97 when we beat them. The other two I don't remember very well, but yeah, we took care of business one year after they beat us for a few years in a row, and it was a great feeling. There was no better win in my career than that at that moment because of what it meant to everybody I grew up with, everybody I suited up with, and the fans of the Georgia Bulldogs. We knew at that moment it was a huge time.
Do you watch this game on TV over the years, and do you still feel those vibes that you felt as a player?
Yeah, I do. Now being a fan and having some friends on the staff and some guys I played with, it means a lot because I'm always tied to it. I'll be a dog for life, right? But, these are really about my family and my community and the dog base, Dog Nation. There's a synergy there that all of us just loves the dogs, and, we can always rally behind that. So to be able to get that and to reflect and now look at my Bulldogs now, it means everything.
With that national championship. Man.
Absolutely. We're defending champs, so we know we got an X on our chest, but these boys are showing up every week. Let's just continue to take care of business.
As you've done some of these speeches and looking back on your career, how reflective do you get? How proud of you coming from Folkestone, Georgia, for what you represent for the folks in Folkestone, Georgia, and obviously just an outstanding career?
Well, to be honest, it was not just about me. I think about all the people that helped me get to where I was. There was many traps along the way to steer me off my path, but one thing I kept constant was the work I put into the game, and I leaned on the people that cared about me and took care of me. I listened, learned, listened, worked. You live by those terms, and good things happen in the end.
Lastly, Tony Baselli just went in the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
What's
sir.
That gold jacket mean now that that's set in? He hasn't had that yet. It just happened. So what does it mean even years later?
It means a lot. It's just a good symbol of the accomplishments I made, the work I put in, and I think that's what I always want to tell young people. This is just a representation of the work I put in, and when you put the work in, the results come, and that's as plain as you could put it.
That is Champ Bailey. He is a Georgia-Florida Hall of Famer now, and again, I said this yesterday, we're talking about one of the great defensive players of all time to ever play the sport of football. Mm-hmm. And that guy's from up in Folkestone, Georgia. It was really cool to catch up with Champ. Great perspective. Mm-hmm. And it's neat to see these guys embrace. Even, listen, this is the guy that went in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That probably means more than going into the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame.
It's right there.
But they really appreciate it still, no matter what level, whether you're in other Hall of Fames or not, or what success you've had. And to answer a question that's been asked quite a bit, we answered it yesterday. Brian Middleton, I know you're going to ask. Mm-hmm. What took so long?
To
get Champ into the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Well, this is the 26th one of these, so keep in mind you get 2 players a year for each team.
Gotcha.
So what's that, like 50 something?
52 for each, right? Now, Champ would easily be in the top 52, so it shouldn't take until 26 years of it.
Yes.
But they also want the guy to be here.
Live and in person.
Oh.
And so he's
Brent can
busy
introduce him.
playing. Yes, so I can introduce him. And they, as I MC the luncheon.
Oh,
that's
nice.
That's what he's referring to.
Nice plug.
And it's good food at the luncheon, too. But
Didn't bring me any.
So, Brian, they want, obviously, the person to be able to be there. And, Champ, obviously, for the last however many years, for most of those years, was playing ball.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know what happened maybe the last handful of years or whatever else since he stopped playing. But that gives you the indication of why maybe it took so long. He had something else going on, couldn't make the calendar work. So I think there's a lot of creative stuff happening behind the scenes, and eventually they'll get him all in.
Yeah.
I shouldn't know this, but I think somebody mentioned it's a similar type thing with Herschel Walker. It was. Or is. I don't even know. I got to double check the way they put that in perspective. I know,
Herschel
but we don't
Walker
go
isn't
over
in
other
the
ones.
he's not in the Hall of Fame yet?
He might not be because of the same reason.
Oh, okay.
I got to check on that. Because somebody told me, Herschel Walker, it's the same kind of thing. It took a little bit. But then I never followed up and asked, well, is he in? Before I start. I've done the luncheon for, I think, like a handful of years now, and I've never introduced Herschel. I've introduced Tim Tebow, so Tebow's in. And so they were able to coordinate schedules. But that just gives you an idea. You're talking about a coordination of schedules. You're talking about trying to get the top guys. You got to have the credentials to be in and all those things.
You want to name drop anybody else you've introduced? I mean, Tim Tebow.
Tebow's.
Did you give them anybody such a good introduction that it kind of overshadowed their speech?
No. Well, here's the thing. You got to be a little careful, right? I've told you this. This is why I do this, because I don't have a bias. I don't have a.
Yes.
I'm not a dog, not a gator. And so you've got to be careful, even with Champ, obviously, out of all the players that were inducted yesterday, he's got the most credentials, right? I mean, he's the best player. Tebow, when he was getting introduced and inducted, he's obviously like the biggest name or one of the biggest names in the series. Well, you don't want to diminish the other guys.
Yeah.
And what they're doing. They're all going in the Hall of Fame. They're all equal when it comes to this day.
Sure.
And that luncheon. So, no, I did not do it in a different way. I just said Tim Tebow or Champ Bailey.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice.
Just read the script, Brent. Get out of the way.
Yeah, you told me yesterday you didn't read the script the whole
Well, I
time.
didn't read the script. You ad-lib a little bit, but you got to get
just
out
a
of the
little
way.
bit. Yeah, you gotta
Don't tell jokes. Not a funny guy. Little lesson for.
Definitely not funny.
Yeah, so just go.
Yeah.
More people were happy with me yesterday. You know why? I
Just got out of the way.
We got the hell out of there in an hour. That's what it was. It's a great event.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And we did it in record time.
That's
they were
pretty
happy with Brent.
That's an accomplishment. That's how Brent gets to come back.
That's it. How many times? You guys been to banquets before? You like staying there for 2 hours?
No.
If the
I don't
food's
like
good.
stay there for 40.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I'll
that's
stay
a
there
good
for
one.
2 hours.
How many plates
Can I come back? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a buffet.
Oh.
And the food was good, though.
If it's a one-plate situation, 45 tops. Let's get out of here.
Come on, man. That's my goal. Like, anytime I MC something, it's a good little lesson for you guys. Just keep it moving. Get them out of there.
Oh.
We've all been at these things where it's like, tell that guy to stop talking.
Listen, they're not going to let me MC anything. Brian Middleton's got a better chance, and then he can go to your school of MC lessons.
Does Brian MC anything? I mean, he's like a Chick-fil-A commercial star. I mean, how much does it cost to get Middleton?
I should parlay that into something.
Brian, by the way.
Wait, you should. How long ago did you do the commercial?
March of 2020.
Well,
yeah.
What the hell are you waiting for? It's been 2 years.
Well, I had to wait for them to release it. They didn't release it until this year.
Oh, it
just came out.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was this new.
Yeah.
Well, you can explain it, Brian, better than I can.
Nah, I don't want to do it. We are going to get you on the show. I want the whole Chick-fil-A commercial story.
Oh, it's great.
But that'll be a story for, like, and it's not going to go on your show. You can tell it on your show at Overtime on Kuhrts and Middleton, but it's going to be on Brent and Friends on ESPN690 between 3 and 6. And we need the whole scoop here because I've caught bits and pieces of this thing. But my view of it was that this commercial's been running for a while, and you did it a long time ago.
Yeah, did a long time ago. It's been running since the national championship game this year.
They debuted it during the national championship. By the way, Brian, my mom saw the commercial on TBS the other night.
Okay.
She texted me at 10:47 and said, "Is this Brian?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, that's Brian." What do you mean, is this Brian?
Not only, one more thing on this. Like, you look different.
What does that mean?
You look kind of different for a guy who filmed that just 2 years ago.
Yeah. Hopefully
Not
in a
good
good
or
way.
bad.
I'm not okay.
I don't know. I mean, you look fine in both instances. Today here on the
Fine.
show and
fine.
on the commercial. Like, I'm not judging either one. But you do look different.
Yeah.
Like, if I put that Brian Middleton and this Brian Middleton, they're like, that was only 2 years ago, Brian Middleton?
Yeah, there's a lot more hair.
What are you getting at?
It feels like you're. I don't know.
It's a little bit of a judgment, but I get what you're saying,
What do
Brent.
you mean it's a judgment? It's not a judgment. It's an observation.
It's a judgment. It's okay.
No, you know, too. You look different. You look like you look older in this, like now.
Okay. Yeah, probably
That's
the
the other
beard.
reason why I thought you did that a while ago. Because you look like you're about 7 years younger in that commercial.
Wow, Brent's just like, hey, listen, man, you were born
He's
in
shooting everybody.
63. There you go.
Good thing I don't have a commercial, or this would be just as bad. Holy
Listen,
cow.
I've been on TV for 20 years, man. All I got to do is go back and rewind the tape and find it 5 years ago. I probably look a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't got time for that.
It's what happens.
It is what happens.
I mean,
Okay.
How old are you, Middleton?
I'm 33.
Hey, well, you look like you're like 20 in that commercial.
Nah, I don't look 20. I don't look 20. But I get what you're saying. Listen, the facial
Middleton's
hair.
like 6'8". Has he ever looked 20?
No. Never once in the history of Brian Middleton has he looked 20.
The Chick-fil-A, the culture or whatever, when you're going to work there, you can't have facial hair, even though they've kind of been lax on that now. So they didn't change that for the commercial, but you definitely can't have it if you're working in the store. So
I got you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, we're going to do the whole reveal commercial thing. And by the way, do you get like residuals if how many times you say Chick-fil-A like on ESPN 690?
I don't, man, and so I'm not going to knock them, but they got their
Royalties.
money's worth. They did everything up front. So I'll tell you this much, right? They did everything up front, and it was well compensated, but we shot the commercial in New York, so you get New York taxes. God bless the people in New York, man. I couldn't do it. I looked at that check. I was like, thank you, Chick-fil-A, but holy smokes, New York. Okay, I was there for like 3 days. Calm down.
Yo, that's exactly remember we had this
We just had
conversation
that.
with Clay.
We did.
Yes.
And by the way, those guys tomorrow, they're getting taxed in London. Wait till you get that check.
Boy, some of them are going to have to pay.
We were talking with Trevor Lawrence about it the other day.
Luke Fortner's just going to have to pay to get back on the plane on that third-round salary. Holy cow.
It's crazy kind of money over there. All right, let's take a break. We're live at the DUUUVAL House, ESPN 690. Game day live from the DUUUVAL House here on a Georgia-Florida weekend. And, hey, traffic right now, not bad in front of us.
Hey, Brian, you might want to leave now. It's a joke.
It's really actually
Don't
pretty
go.
quiet traffic-wise.
Well, I don't think they would say that. What bridge is that?
Oh, okay, I see it now.
They're coming off the Hart Bridge?
Yeah, they're coming off. Yeah, Hart Bridge, but it's not bad. It's not, again, you're
It
going to
could
wait a little
be.
bit.
It could be worse. I'll
Now,
tell you, it was worse when I just came.
If you go about a half a mile that way, it looks like a lot of ants marching.
I give you that.
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly to mostly cloudy and mild today. Will be breezy, a brief shower or two with highs in the mid-70s, dropping into the mid-60s tonight. And partly cloudy, warmer and more humid tomorrow with a few showers at times, but plenty of dry hours for your Sunday as temperatures approach 80 in the afternoon. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Get the guaranteed lowest price at the only locally owned diamond store in the St. John's Town Center.
When Big Mobile charges you an arm and a leg, they're taking your money and your power. And your arm and leg. Boost Mobile gives your power back with an unlimited plan for $25 a month on one of America's largest 5G networks. We can't give you back your arm and your leg because we're not qualified surgeons. Unless you're an iguana who can grow limbs back. Switch to Boost and get an unlimited plan for $25 a month. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. New customers only. One line, $25 per month with auto pay. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
Gah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now. What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find RX coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Ready to hit the road this fall? Maybe a trip to the mountains or over the river to Grandma's? Then listen up, because you need to rent a Toyota from Arlington Toyota. If you've tried to rent lately, then you know rental companies are short on inventory, but not our friends over at Arlington Toyota Rent-A-Car. Arlington has 2022 and 2023 models in stock and ready to rent at a great price. Plus, renting a Toyota is the best way to try it before you buy it. Go to arlingtontoyota.com, reserve your rental, and discover just how good Toyota Rent-A-Car can be.
Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You'll save time and make the most money. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry, so you can sell your home stress-free and make the most money. When you get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, there are no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Shacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN690.
Everybody, ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Brent Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, Brian Middleton. Paying his taxes in New York still.
Tell you what, it's tough scenes.
Yeah, I hope you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. That's the place to be. And you can listen in your car on ESPN 690 as you head into the stadium and sit in traffic for a little bit. Again, Florida State will join in progress at 11 o'clock for their pregame. They kick at noon against Georgia Tech. Then we have World Series later tonight. We have TV coverage all day on CBS 47. Really ramps up at 1:30. We'll have a 1-hour pregame show, just like we did last night. And then 3:30 kick on CBS 47. Post-game show will take you for an hour after the game. We'll hear from Kirby Smart. We'll hear from Billy Napier. We'll hear from players. And then prime time to later tonight, which is at 11:30 on CBS 47. And in London with the Jags tomorrow, early countdown to kickoff at 8:30. And then you can watch the game on ESPN Plus, by the way. And tomorrow you'll be watching football all day, Kasey Kuhrts.
Yeah, I will
Or
be.
will you sleep through the first part because you woke up so early today?
No, see, the problem there is you can't sleep through the first part, right? Gotta watch. Good nap coming, though, right? You know what I'm saying? It might even start at halftime, depending on what's, transpiring on the field for the Jags.
Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, Brian Middleton. We heard from Champ Bailey. I want to play a Gator from that Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame
balance it out.
luncheon. How about, if you have it ready, Brian, I know I didn't give you a heads up in the break, but Trey Burton, let's catch up with the former Gator tight end, running back, receiver, quarterback. Guy played it all, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Fun player to watch.
Good player.
And good player.
Solid player. If you have a Trey Burton, you feel good about winning.
I think he was a really good player in college because of all the positions he could play. It doesn't work like that in the NFL, and he had a decent career in the NFL. He wasn't bad.
No,
he
quality.
certainly was, and obviously had the big moment with the Philly special and the Eagles and winning the Super Bowl. But I think he's a really good college player. Some are better college players than they end up playing the pro for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Tebow obviously will always have that. Guy like Percy Harvin was more electric in college because he couldn't stay healthy in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, he might have had a great career in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I think just Trey Burton for the comparison, if you don't know it, like Taysom Hill.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, and who's willing to do it? And you got to
Right.
get in the right. There's not everybody's going to do and find the qualities of a Taysom Hill. Like, there's a lot of teams Taysom Hill could have gone to, would have been out of the NFL or seldom used, and nobody knows his name.
Right.
They went to the Saints, and they utilized the skill set. And you got to give a lot of credit to the Saints for doing that, because I think Taysom Hill is maybe not a household name, but he's certainly a name that most people know. And I'm not kidding you now. If he ends up in Seattle, if he ends up in New York, if he ends up in Cleveland, might just be a camp casualty cut kind of guy.
Yeah.
But Trey Burton was able to latch on with the Eagles and Peterson and went to Chicago and made a career of it in the NFL, and now he's done. playing football. And in Tampa, we had a chance to catch up with him yesterday at the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame.
Hey, man, how it's good to be back in Jacksonville, first of all, and what about today's honor?
Yeah, I mean, obviously super honored. You never really think about this moment when you're playing. You know, I never really played the game to be honored this way, but obviously super special, and my family and I are just, really thankful.
What do they think about it, the family?
Man, it's really special for my kids to be a part of it. For me personally, growing up without a dad, like I just wanted them to be around everything that I'm doing. So. My kids are running around, throwing footballs all over the place. I'm like, guys, you guys got to sit down and relax. But they say, I can't wait till you go up there and speech. And they say speech, and I'm like, well, it's actually a speech, But it's just fun, for them to be around, and they love it.
Give everybody an update what you're doing now. I mean, obviously with the playing day is over.
Yeah, I live in Tampa, Florida. I've taken the last, year or two off from playing, and I'm just trying to figure out, what I want to do next and what, avenue I want to go down. But really thankful for Gator Nation. There's a lot of people that are in the Tampa Bay area that are just, phenomenal and willing to help, with whatever I need. So just hanging out right now.
When you grew up, could you ever envision the path that you'd end up on?
No, but it was super unique, super special, and I wouldn't change it. I would never want to go back and do it again. I think it was I had so much fun, learned a lot, and just really thankful that I made the choice, to come to Florida.
What do you think about when you think about this game? I mean, when you came back in this building today?
Yeah, it's funny. I spent the last 2 days watching all 4 games with my kids, just so they understood, because they'd never been to a Florida game before. Believe it or not, this is their first one, and so. The first thing I thought off the top of my head was like, man, we were hitting back then. Like, dude, we were getting after it. I couldn't believe, some of the shots that guys were taking. Also, how competitive it was, and it's such a special and unique game. There's only 1 or 2 other neutral site games, like this, and usually the winner of this game plays in the SEC championship and has a chance to win a national championship. So it's just from so many levels, it's a super unique and super special game. It's just, an honor to be a part of it.
All right, give us a little something on Doug Peterson, man. Obviously, it's a big watch here, and you just missed him. He's in London right now instead. But your thoughts on Doug and what he brings to the table?
Man, I have nothing but love for Doug. I think he was a phenomenal hire. I think he's going to do a great job. One of my favorite coaches, just from the sense of like he's so real, so down to earth. Door is always open. Literally, I know that gets thrown around a lot, but he's like the ultimate players coach. Will joke around, but knows how to be serious and knows how to have a good time, but knows how to, win games. And I think that locker room is going to really change, with him in control. And once he gets, all his guys in there, it's going to be a really special time here.
We quietly have put together the whole Philly special here in Jacksonville. Peterson, Foles came down for a bit, Press Taylor, you back here today. I mean, how many people ask you about that play? I mean, is that the play that people always say?
Yeah, for sure. But what's cool is that everywhere I've been, there has been a Gator Nation everywhere. Like, there's been a group everywhere asking about Florida stuff as well. So which is also really cool, because Florida, growing up in the South, college football is it. You don't really necessarily pay too much attention to the NFL. It's just special.
Well, that is Trey Burton, former Florida Gator. He'll be recognized with Andre Caldwell and also with John Little from the Georgia side and Champ Bailey as the class of 22 Georgia-Florida Hall of Famers here on a Saturday in Jacksonville. They'll be recognized on the video.
Were they blasting heat in their car, or are they about to explode?
I don't know. I saw a lot of smoke coming out of the back of that, but I think it went away. So
the car drove. Yeah, we'll see.
You were very concerned about that.
Well, it's just not a sight you usually see. Because I was like, well, there's no way they're pumping 90 in their car. So the alternative is not good.
So it's sometimes safer, Kasey Kuhrts, when you're here. Just don't see what's behind you.
This is my favorite part. I like to see
Take a look, right?
People,
when you can. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, Brian Middleton here on a Saturday morning. It's our ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the DUUUVAL House special here on this Georgia-Florida day. Brought to you by Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit, Polar Seltzer, and Go Tuckin'. Phillips and Hunt, of course, putting on the party as well. Do it every week on a Jags game day, and one special college football game day, and that is happening right now in the River City. We've seen a lot of Georgia fans. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of Georgia fans.
Yes, that's not an exaggeration. It's been severely outnumbered, the number of Georgia fans to Florida fans. Only seen a few, actually. to be honest with you.
Let's go back we really talked in the first hour about this matchup and broke it down, but I want to revisit some of the thoughts that we had, but really go on the quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson, we think it's got to be a big day for him if they're going to pull the upset. We haven't talked a ton about Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett's this fantastic story out of Blackshear, Georgia, which is up in like the Waycross area, not far. And he wins a national title. He stays there. He's a former walk-on, and now he's getting better and better and more comfortable. It's really neat to see when you get your chance and you take an opportunity and you have some growth and development. I was watching an interview with him the other day, and I'm like, man, you know what's crazy? Is how many times did people tell Stetson Bennett that you're not big enough? You've got to get bigger. You look at him, and he still looks like he's 180 pounds. He's been on campus at Georgia for like 18 years, it feels like. You know he's been in the weight room.
Yeah.
And he still doesn't look like he weighs 160 pounds soaking wet.
No.
So,
but he slings it, though.
But think about that. He got his opportunity. Everybody's like, you're not big enough. You're too small. You blah, 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 whatever it is. And look what he's done with it. And I always think of it in this context. How many other players are good that just get passed by?
Oh, yeah.
Because of things like that, the measurables, the eye test, that would have been better because they're just better players. They know how to play the game. And that can be in all sports. But coaches don't fall in love with those guys. Coaches don't want to give those guys a chance. Well, they gave them a chance at Georgia last year, and it paid off big time. And you know what? It's paying off big time this year, too.
It really is. And we had Aaron Murray on the show yesterday. He volunteered to play him in the movie, which, by the way, those guys look exactly the same.
I know, and that's
exactly the same.
Did.
That would be an incredible thing. But, yeah, Stetson Bennett, to your point, I think that's an interesting one, right? How many guys could actually be really good without the getting passed by part of it? I mean, you come to, like, James Robinson. That's one.
That's a great call.
It just happened to Bailey Zappi. But now I don't know if there's staying power there.
Yeah.
But to your point, like, it happens all the time, and this guy is reaping the rewards of it. And I was, we all were. If he was really the guy, Stetson Bennett, he proved that, and he continues to prove that. And he gets it done, Brent. It doesn't matter how great it looks at times, because sometimes for Stetson Bennett it doesn't. But, he's getting it done one way or another.
Hey, Brian Middleton, too, he gets it done because he can move a little bit, right? I mean, Stetson Bennett is sneaky fast. Kind of has like a Daniel Jones feel in that respect. Like, you don't look at Stetson Bennett like, all right, this guy, he's probably going to beat me with the legs today. No, until you get out on the field, he's made some huge plays with the legs, Brian. And today's day and age, this is why he's a good fit. He can throw it. He can manage the game. And when it's time to use his legs, he can use his legs. And if you don't have that in today's football, well, you're at a huge disadvantage no matter how well you can sling it and no matter how smart and how much game experience you have. Just look at Tom Brady the other night. But Stetson Bennett has a little bit of everything, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think a couple of things. First and foremost, he's probably honed his skills maybe a bit more than someone who was a big-time recruit who could just rely on their arm, or, they could throw, but they were Justin Fields kind of fast, so they could rely on their legs. Probably at every level, even though it's high school and college, but even probably middle school, even though he's probably started, he's had that kind of chip on his shoulder where it's like, I've got to work to get this to a point where I can be the starter. He's overcome that kind of adversity, and I won't, laud superlatives on him, but he should be congratulated for that. Also, there's a saying that wherever you are is where you're at, and wherever you're at, you made an appointment to be there. And all that means, in my opinion, is that this guy, regardless of what was being said negatively to him, because I'm sure there was a lot of positive there as well, his parents, his inner circle, certain coaches or whatnot, and we're just like, hey, just keep working at it. But you're right, there's probably a lot of people just saying, yeah, but what about this recruit? Yeah, what about this guy? He's 6'4", 220, he has a rocket of an arm, back him up or something like that. His ability to continue to show up and continue chopping at the tree, knocking at the door, whatever kind of example you want to use for being consistent in his work ethic and taking the opportunity when he gets it and running with it is something that goes beyond sports. But that's one thing that I really do love about sports, the equality of the playing field right there. Can you perform when it's time to do so? If you can, then you're the guy. If you can't, you better hurry up and figure it out. And he's figured it out. So, good for him. I'm happy for him.
And to that point, he's held off not only Carson Beck, but Brock Vandergriff, who was a 5-star as well.
I mean, because they're going to keep bringing 5 stars in. And that's what makes his story so amazing. I mean, they went from who's the kid? Eason to Fromm to Fields to Beck to, I mean, they
That's right.
five-star. Then they got some walk-on leading them to a national championship. I mean, it's absolutely insane, really, when you think about it in that context. But it also shows you the ranking system, recruiting is not perfect. And once you get a guy on campus and once you give him a shot, who cares what all that stuff says? If he can play, he can play, and he's proven that he can play. Now, the flip side of that is Carson Beck. He's a Jacksonville guy. He's been very loyal. He's been patient. I appreciate that about him. In today's day and age, transfer portal. How, I said this on the show this week, but how much do you guys think this really could be a Mac Jones situation? Carson Beck will come back with a bunch of talent around him next year. If he does get the job and win the job, and he's waited his turn for sure, but that doesn't mean he's going to be handed to it. He knows that by now.
Sure.
But he could be a situation like Mac, who stayed there. I think you could also maybe liken it to a Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't stay at LSU. He actually transferred to LSU.
Right.
So it's a little bit different of a background story.
Yeah.
But these one-off years where you get one chance and you take off.
I think if you're Carson, don't leave now, right? You've waited this whole time.
Well,
get your
absolutely.
opportunity. But I think it's interesting in the Mac part of it as well, because I know when Mac went to Alabama, it was kind of like, why are you going to Alabama, right? Like, that's, are you going to play ever? And that was the question.
Yes.
Carson, it was not the same, but at the same time, like, you got to feel that when you're seeing Eason and Fields and Fromm, right? Like, you're like, will he ever get the chance to play? So hopefully he does, and hopefully he earns a spot. But, yeah, he could be walking into a great situation, and, it's very similar to Mac. And, hey, you throw a good football, you lead guys, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of yards passed for and a bunch of touchdowns because these guys are going to do the work for you. So, yeah, I'd be excited to see Carson get after it when he does get his chance. Obviously, it's Stetson's team right now, but it could be a fantastic situation for Carson Beck.
Brian Middleton, this is maybe a way to go the big time now. Mac Jones was a 15th overall pick.
Right.
Joe Burrow was a number 1 overall pick. I mean, that didn't seem very likely in past years, that you get 1 year and boom, now you're a first-round draft pick playing at the next level. But, I mean, now I don't know if Carson Beck is that. I really don't. I have no idea. I haven't seen him play since high school. But I also don't think he can close the door that maybe he is that guy. Maybe he's slinging it in the NFL in a couple of years on Sundays, and he just had to wait his turn because, well, a guy named Stetson Bennett held him off.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it's a business decision. I think it's smart to be loyal to the number 1 team overall, like UGA. I get the competitive nature of wanting to play. You want to see that in anybody who's on your team. But, yeah, this situation is setting up perfectly. I mean, we all think that Carson Beck is a uber-talented quarterback, and the pieces around him, if he's coming in next year, are going to be A+++. And this will be nothing but, barring a catastrophic injury, success for him. The numbers are going to look good, we presume. The team will look good, we presume. They'll probably be in the running for a national championship with him at the helm, we presume. And if he's that good, and the offense is that good based off of him, he's probably looking at, a Heisman run on top of everything else. All that lines up for him getting his money at the next level, which is, I think, the ultimate goal, even though right now I'm sure he would say, hey, I want, the team to win. We're focusing on the national championship. But in the macro view, this is a perfect situation for him if he shows up and executes and takes that starting job, coming up next year.
All right, let's take a break here. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. We're going to get our picks in now. How's this game going to play itself out? 22.5 points. Did you say it went to 23? In some books, 23-point favorite. Money's on Georgia in this game. Wow. 23 points in a rivalry game. And I'm not sure Florida's that kind of bad. Like, they don't strike me as bad. 4-8 Florida a few years back against this Georgia team. What would that spread have been?
60, at the bare minimum 67.
You know what's so wild is the guy that's had the most success against Georgia from a coaching standpoint for Florida in recent years, Jim McElwain, who was fired the day after his only loss to Georgia.
Yeah.
Some crazy things happen on this last weekend of October in Jacksonville when these two programs meet. What's going to happen today? We're live at the DUUUVAL house, ESPN 690, Game Day Live. It rolls on right after this on ESPN 690.
Hi, this is Keith Gurr, president of American Window Products. Right now, we're offering a free installation on 6 or more windows, as well as a free energy package. Go to AmericanWindowProducts.com and click for an estimate. That's AmericanWindowProducts.com. American Window Products, we are the window professionals.
Did you hear about Taco Bell's apology? Yeah, they apologized for going too far with their breakfast. Like the naked egg taco and chicken biscuit nachos? It was too much. All you need in the morning is tasty, simple food. Like the breakfast crunch wrap. Fluffy eggs, melty cheese, sausage, crispy hash browns, wrapped in a warm tortilla. Or, as some call it, a breakfast crunch thing. Grab one today, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only until 11 a.m. while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation, which vary.
Attention. Per the current government mandate, U.S.-based insurers are now required to cover at-home COVID testing kits with no out-of-pocket fees to you. If you have a current insurance plan, you are eligible to receive up to 8 COVID-19 tests shipped to you each month absolutely free, as long as the government mandate is in effect. Just visit testkitforfree.com to register now from the comfort of your own home. That's testkitforfree.com to receive your tests shipped to you at no cost. Go to testkitforfree.com today. Paid for by TRO.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens FindRx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Here at Rhino Shield, we've been protecting homes for over 20 years. We're your go-to coating company for repairing and coating stucco, but Rhino Shield is engineered for any surface. Our coating is perfect for any siding or other material used on homes. From stucco to vinyl, brick, wood, or hardy board, if it's on your house, we can coat it. You know how in every good ad there's always a, but wait, there's more. Well, here it is. Not only do we protect homes, but we also do commercial and industrial buildings. If your business office gives the wrong impression or your warehouse looks the worse for wear, we are ready and able to get your building up to standards you can be proud of. Come check us out. Learn how we can help you or your business look great with 30% off your next job. It's a new day at Rhino Shield. Call or visit us online to set up an appointment. Rhino Shield, engineered to outlast paint.
Ready to swoop in the fall of 2022? The UNF Ospreys are ready with a lot of momentum on campus. New improvements at UNF Arena with basketball season right around the corner and tickets already on sale. The fall schedule underway in volleyball and men's and women's soccer, also men's and women's cross country. Get the latest news, schedules, results, and information on tickets for all things Ospreys at UNFospreys.com. Join the Osprey Club, attend a game or a match. Be a part of the momentum at the University of North Florida right now at UNFospreys.com.
All offers are with approved credit and not in conjunction. See dealer for complete details. Jeep, at your days. Exercise your freedom of choice when you choose a brand new Jeep from our great selection at Jacksonville, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Bay Meadows. You can't get a more innovative SUV than Jeep. From Renegade to Wagoneer. Drive a new Gladiator and get the best of both worlds. SUV and pickup truck. Choose a new Wrangler Unlimited and let the adventure begin. Cherokee, Compass, Grand Cherokee. We've got what you're looking for. Factory order your next new Jeep and get everything you want in an SUV. The process is fast and easy. Get your price and payment in 10 minutes or less. Lock in pricing and incentives at the time of order or claim the incentives at the time of delivery. Whichever you prefer. We want your trade and we'll pay top dollar for it, whether you buy from us or not. Jacksonville, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, I-295 and Bay Meadows.
Listen to ESPN 690 anytime, anywhere, on any device. Whether you're at home or on the go, get the latest on the Jags, FSU, the Jumbo Shrimp, and Action Sports Jacks on Odyssey.com. That's AUDACY.com or on ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. It's really a lot of fun out here right now. The Georgia fans, the Florida fans, it's everything that we talk about and is, and we know what to expect now when we come down here. But you know what? It doesn't get old here in late October, and we've got a beautiful day. It's overcast, so it's no sunny skies. Probably not going to look good for your iPhone pictures, but it feels good.
I'm making a TikTok right now. You're saying it's not going to look good?
Well, not as good. You know, the iPhone really looks good when it's got the blue skies behind it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit. Appreciate them being a sponsor of our ESPN 690 Game Day Live broadcast, along with Polar Seltzer. Come on by. We'll give you some free samples.
We will.
And go Tuckin as well. We'll have Florida State coverage coming up right after this at 11 o'clock, and then into the kickoff at noon. Later today on ESPN 690, we have Game 2 of the World Series between the Phillies and Astros. Meanwhile, on the CBS 47 side of things today, that's where you want to be on TV. 1:30 to 2:30, we'll have our Battle of the Border pregame show. 3:30 kickoff, postgame show right after. Live Kirby Smart, live Billy Napier, and players as well, and all the analysis. And then tonight, Action Sports Jack's primetime. That will lead right into Sunday's coverage, live from London. In fact, just talked to Stuart Weber. He caught up with Shad Khan, and we'll have some of that conversation today in the postgame show after this Georgia-Florida game, and more of it on Sunday, of course. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, and Brian Middleton. All right, let's get it done. Brian Middleton, who's going to win the game and why?
Okay, listen, guys, I don't purport to be an expert when it comes to picking games, much like Kasey or yourself, but I will say this, man. I believe in great storylines, and I believe in fate, okay? Everything is going the way of UGA. I mean, the season coming off of a national championship, they got players all over the place. They're probably going to have like 85 players drafted in the next 2 years in the first couple of rounds. And I got to tell you, man, Florida is an underdog, but they're not, like you said earlier, the 4-8 Florida team from, in the past season ago. I'm going to say this. I think that UGA has everything it takes to win this game and win it handily. But I'm going to go with the upset. The Florida Gators, okay? Not for hot take purposes, but because they believe in themselves. Billy Napier is the man for this job. His very first Georgia-Florida matchup, I think he's going to have these boys ready. I think they got some tricks up their sleeves. I think he's going to be confidently risky, but not to the point where it's reckless. And I think that based off of some coaching decisions that he makes, Anthony Richardson will show up. This will be a close game. And I think that the Florida Gators win 27-24.
Wow. Kasey Kuhrts?
Be a visionary, Kasey.
Follow that up.
Be a visionary.
As I'm just watching the time on the clock click away, and Brian Middleton still talking about things that can't happen. Yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs win the game. The spread's 23, the spread's 25, the spread's 27. I would take the Bulldogs in this game. I've watched too much Florida football. I've seen this movie before. And here's the good thing about it, Brent, right? Not an alum, right? So some people, they have to pick the Gators because, they just have to, right? You're an alum. You got no choice. I'm just a fan, right? And I can see it. I can see the logic. I can see through the BS that Brian Middleton just tried to give you, the people. The Georgia Bulldogs win this game because they are better by a long shot. They're better coached, all of those things. I don't think it's close at all.
Yeah, here's the deal. They are the better team. I don't think this just comes down to throw the records out, the cliche, it's a rivalry. It certainly helps. It will help Florida play better. I think it will help maybe even Georgia play a little tighter than normal. I think the Tennessee game looming also creates a little bit of that. Georgia's going to win the football game. But it's not going to be as easy as people think. I'm alarmed at the spread being as high as it is. I think Florida's going to hang in this thing. Again, they lost 34-7 last year when Georgia was even better than they are now, and it was 10-0 with a couple minutes to go in the first half. So I think this thing will be a little bit tighter than people expect, and I do think in the fourth quarter, with maybe a 4 to 7 point lead, they tack on another one and end up winning the game by whatever it might be. Might end up winning by 17, to be honest. But I don't think it's going to feel a blowout fashion like you would think with a 23-point line in the game. And I think Anthony Richardson will play well in this game.
I hope so.
And I think the Gators will run the ball well. And I just think the Dogs are better.
They are.
And then it's on to Tennessee for the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, if the Gators do win this game, imagine Billy Napier in his first year gets a top 10 win over Utah and beats the number 1 team in the country in Georgia.
Well,
that's pretty good, despite all the roller coaster stuff that's happened on this football team. So
I'd be like, I saw it coming. I picked them.
Never
see what
doubted
shakes out. I think it'll be a better game than people think. I really do. What I'm really surprised to see is, or anxious to see, will we have a 50-50 split? Because right now here in downtown Jacksonville, it feels like a 75-25 split, red and black everywhere right now in Jacksonville. All right, we got to get out of here, right?
46 seconds away.
Good. You count me down. Let me know.
45.
42.
Yeah, we're on the air.
40.
Yeah, no.
Should we count that like this is New Year's? Hey, we got Florida State coming up right after this. We're going to hand right off to them. Florida State plays Georgia Tech at noon right here on ESPN 690. We are your home for Florida State football and basketball. For Brian Middleton and Kasey Kuhrts, I'm Brent Martineau. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the Halloween weekend. Enjoy all the football and the festivities around it. Be safe. Have fun. And don't forget to keep it locked on ESPN 690 and on CBS 47 and Fox 30 for all your coverage of the Georgia-Florida game and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday from London. Have a terrific weekend, everybody.
Now you see it, now you don't. It's the Ghost Your Payments event going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. That's no payments until 2023 on your pre-owned purchase. Arlington will even waive your last 6 lease or loan payments. Poof, they're gone. Got a trade? Arlington will pay up to MSRP for your trade. What are you waiting for? Shop the Ghost Your Payments event before this sale disappears. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com today. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/October for full details.
Do you make a purchase just because it's cheap? Never, right? So why would you ever purchase a do-it-yourself security system just because it's cheap? Right now, some companies say you